In the warm and humid southern state of South Carolina, a tumultuous series of events unfolded in the years leading up to the American Civil War. It was a time of great division and tension, as the issue of slavery cast a long shadow over the region. In 1832, South Carolina passed the Nullification Ordinance, a bold and provocative move asserting the state's right to nullify, or reject, federal laws it deemed unconstitutional. This was in response to tariffs imposed by the federal government, which disproportionately affected the state's agricultural economy. The nullification crisis, as it came to be known, was a precursor to the secessionist sentiments that would later erupt. By the 1850s, tensions escalated further. The Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 required northern states to return escaped slaves to their owners in the South, adding to the animosity between the regions. Additionally, the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854, which allowed new territories to decide on the issue of slavery through popular sovereignty, intensified the national debate. In 1860, when Abraham Lincoln, an anti-slavery candidate, was elected as the President of the United States, South Carolina saw this as a threat to their peculiar institution. On December 20, 1860, South Carolina became the first state to secede from the Union, officially declaring its independence. This marked the beginning of a chain reaction as other southern states followed suit. The Civil War erupted in 1861, as South Carolina and other secessionist states formed the Confederate States of America, leading to a brutal and devastating conflict that would rage on for 4 long years. As the sun rose over the picturesque landscapes of South Carolina, its citizens began their day much like any other. Farmers toiled in the fields, their hands calloused from endless labor. The scent of magnolias filled the air, masking the tension that hung heavy. In towns and cities, women sewed uniforms for Confederate soldiers, their hands moving swiftly as they stitched hope into every seam. Families clung to the hope that their loved ones would return safely from the front lines, though the uncertainty gnawed at their hearts. Children played in the streets, their laughter a bittersweet reminder of the innocence lost to the ravages of war. Schools struggled to stay open, and books often became a luxury as resources grew scarce. Food shortages plagued the land, and what was once abundant became precious. The simple act of putting food on the table became a daily challenge, as rations dwindled and hunger became a constant companion. The sound of drums and bugles echoed through the towns as news from the front arrived. The people of South Carolina lived in constant fear of Union forces encroaching on their soil, as their state was a key battleground in the conflict. Yet, even amid the turmoil, a resilient spirit endured. Churches remained open, offering solace and prayer to those who sought refuge from the storm. Communities rallied together, finding strength in unity. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the flicker of candlelight in homes across South Carolina illuminated the faces of those who endured. Life in this war-torn state was marked by hardship, sacrifice, and a longing for a day when peace would return to the land, and the scars of war would begin to heal. The state had long been a hotbed of secessionist sentiment, and it was here, in Charleston Harbor, that the first shots of the Civil War were fired on April 12, 1861. Confederate forces under the command of General P. Beauregard bombarded Fort Sumter, held by Union Major Robert Anderson, forcing its surrender. As the war raged on, South Carolina became a battleground for several significant clashes. One of the major engagements occurred at the Battle of Fort Wagner on July 18, 1863, when Union forces, led by General Quincy A. Gillmore, attempted to capture the fort defended by Confederate General William Taliaferro. This battle gained notoriety due to the participation of the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, one of the first African-American units in the Union Army, which was immortalized in the movie, Glory. Another pivotal moment unfolded in February 1865 when General William T. Sherman's Union forces marched through South Carolina. They fought Confederate troops under the command of General Wade Hampton at the Battle of Rivers Bridge on February 3, 1865, and later captured Columbia, the state capital, on February 17, 1865. the city suffered a devastating fire during the occupation. Sherman's march continued northward, and on February 22, 1865, Union forces clashed with Confederates at the Battle of Ave Rosborough under General Hardee. The final major engagement in South Carolina occurred at the Battle of Bentonville on March 19–21, 1865, where Union forces faced off against Confederate General Joseph E. Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant at Appomattox Courthouse in Virginia, marking the beginning of the end for the Confederacy. South Carolina's role in the Civil War was a tumultuous and significant chapter in the nation's history, and these battles helped shape the course of the war and the nation's future. To see what happened in your state during the Civil War, click the playlist on your screen, and thanks for watching. In April 1865, Confederate General Robert E.